Hello and welcome inside the International Training and Research Center in Arlington, Texas. This is BowlTV Live. I'm Matt Lawson, and we come here a couple times every month inside bowling headquarters to introduce you to some of the programs and some of the people here that make those programs go for the sport of bowling. It's also an interactive show, so we hope that you are watching us through Facebook and Twitter. We are USBC on both of those platforms, and that you are also subscribed to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/BowlTV. Subscribe to that channel. You'll be the first to know when we put up new information, new videos, and of course when these shows are coming on the air as well. So get your questions in. We're going to be talking coaching with Hall of Famer Carolyn Dorin-Ballard coming up here in just a few minutes. So get those coaching questions in. And we're talking Open and Women's Championships with USBC Managing Director of Tournaments Brian Lewis. He'll be on in just a couple of minutes. So as we start to talk about the Open and Women's Championships, they are coming up sooner than you might expect. The Open Championships gets underway on March 1st. And the Women's Championships on April 12th. The preparations are well underway, both tournaments being held in the same location for the first time, as they will both be in Reno, Nevada. One of the things that we're doing here at USBC is helping those of you who have been to Reno a few times to find some new things to do while you're there. It's our Discover Reno series. Here's one little quick look at one of our featured items in Reno. If you're looking to rev your engine in Reno, look no further than the National Auto Museum. Just a few blocks from the downtown Reno Arch sits a collection of more than 200 classic cars sure to please any gearhead.
We're so fortunate that the museum is in Reno, Nevada, and primarily that's because of Bill Harrah, the founder of Harrah's Hotels and Casinos. He had the largest automobile collection in the world right here in Reno, and that's why we have this wonderful museum.
From the one-of-a-kind 1938 Phantom Corsair to cars owned by Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, John F. Kennedy, Lana Turner, and more. It's a history lesson that satisfies the need for speed.
There's definitely a time machine feel when you're in the Automobile Museum. You just find yourself naturally stepping back. And as you gradually go through, the next thing you know, you're on a turn-of-the-century street and stepping through a blacksmith shop. And you find yourself discovering these different times and eras throughout the entire museum.
Auto Week magazine lists it as one of the top car museums in the world, contrasting modern flair with the mean machines that got it all started.
Well, at our museum, there's really a story around every curve, and this car has the greatest story of all. It's a 1907 Thomas Flyer, and it was the only American entry in the 1908 New York to Paris race, and it actually won the race. It was 22,000 miles and 169 days later when this car left New York and entered Paris victorious and claiming for America that American cars were here to stay.
The National Auto Museum is open 7 days a week. For hours and more information, visit automuseum.org and turn your next Reno visit into a different kind of road trip. And you can catch all of those as they come out, like I said, every couple of weeks. It's bowl.com/Discover Reno. You'll be able to check out all the, there's a whole wealth of things to do in Reno that if you've been out there a few times and all you did was bowl, you know, you can get into that rut where all you really see is the casino and downtown area and the bowling stadium, but there is an awful lot to do there. For Brian Lewis and his team, I know this is an extremely busy time. Tell us a little bit what's going on in Reno right now. Where are we in preparations?
Always a hectic time for us, Matt. This begins the fall season, preparations underway. As you stated, first time in our history, both tournaments together, same city, but two venues. So we're working very hard to prepare both venues. We're in the beautiful Reno Sparks Convention Center for the Women's Championships. We put our final drawings in place, so we know exactly how we're going to build that beautiful venue, especially for our ladies. As you recall, for those ladies that went to El Paso and Syracuse, it's going to be a great state-of-the-art convention center build venue. The National Bowling Stadium it is still great. We have a lot of teams coming for the Open Championships. Lots of preparations there with our building our concourse, our registration area, and some new features as well that will be going on at the National Bowling Stadium.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of questions from viewers, and we can get into some of that. One of the first from Todd wanted to know why we're going back to Reno. Of course, we've kind of covered that a little bit,
Sure.
that the bowling stadium does give us a unique spot, and then having the women's and the men's in the same place for the first time is cool as well. But it's not just Reno. I mean, you guys are looking ahead now and looking at possible other venues.
You bet. Reno has been a great partner. It's the National Bowling Stadium. That's still one of the premier, if not the premier, bowling stadium, bowling facility out there. So they've been a fantastic partner, and I encourage, like you have, Matt, through your video spots, lots to do in Reno. I personally never get tired of it, and Lord knows I've been out there hundreds of times.
Probably plenty of time, sure.
Yeah, we are right now in the process of looking at future host cities, 16, 17, 18 Open and Women's Championships. I personally have talked to over 80 cities via email, via conference calls, via taking some time at various conferences we go to. So we're looking very much at different host cities outside of Reno. The great news is there's lots of interest in both the Open and Women's Championships. That's a process that will continue over the next couple of months, and after the first of the year, we look to make some decisions going forward for 16, 17, and even as far out as 2018.
Okay, let's get to some nuts and bolts stuff. Andy wants to know why we don't use a house shot when we're out there at Open Championships,
Well,
which maybe we don't need to exactly. I mean, that obviously we want it to be a little bit competitive. But how do you come up with the pattern?
Well, the house shot would be great for me. I'm a medium average bowler, but we're talking the national championships here. 60,000 bowlers at the Open, 30,000 at the Women's Championships. We need to put out a condition that's a tournament-like condition. So it places a premium on accuracy, shot making, without trying to embarrass the bowlers. We go through a lot of process, a lot of iterations. We actually will do some testing here at the research center. And then we have to be sport compliant for the Open Championships. Then we'll actually lay down some patterns at the stadium, do some testing there, with the intent of several days before announcing the Open Championships pattern.
I've had a couple questions about the showcase lanes and the VIP package as well, and this is something we started last year. In fact, we're gonna show you now a little bit about the VIP program. It was again started last year at the Open Championships, and now is expanding a little bit as well. It's going to change just a bit, but take a look. This is what we did last year.
Are you a VIP? Now, for the first time, the USBC Open Championships can hook you up big time.
Yes!
What we tried to do with the VIP program was not only give the VIP that extra boost in the experience that he's going to receive, but he's going to sort of get thrown to the front of the line every time he comes up. Whether it's at registration, he'll be able to go immediately pie the registration lines to information, where he'll be shuttled back to a VIP room, serve some beverages, given an individualized check-in experience. From there, he will have an opportunity to get a private sort of behind-the-scenes tour, if you will, into what goes into the Open Championships, from build to the scoreboards, to some of the things that the regular bowlers never get to see.
It's a lot quicker, obviously. It just gives you more time to enjoy everything else and not have to know that you have to wait in line.
It doesn't end at check-in. Your VIP experience also gets you discounts at Bowling Ball Express and the USBC Sports Store. You get access to special VIP lockers, a photography package, tickets to attend TV shows at the Masters and Queens, a membership card, and a special VIP shirt, which you can wear on the showcase lanes, where you'll enjoy a private lesson with USBC Silver Coach Bill Hall.
It's a good idea because you get to practice on the oil pattern that you're going to be playing on. Not only that, you'll get a little bit of assistance on how to play that oil pattern, with how to break it down, what to expect when it breaks down, and the equipment to use for your particular style of play.
The tips you gave me have made me to change my equipment to suit the lane condition. With this little bit of training, you will have a greater chance of getting a good score.
Trying to land the ball on the target. Think of a bow and arrow. Land it through it, not on it.
Bill was a very good coach. Showed me a lot of things that I really didn't think about before. So it actually, hopefully it's going to work out to my benefit.
It couldn't be easier to claim your VIP status. Go to bowl.com/VIP to get started. The staff here in Baton Rouge is excited to get you going.
You just can't wait to see the reactions on those guys' faces. I mean, that's what you really want to see. When the people come in here, everybody has a different sort of wow expression, or they've never done that before expression, and that's just big time payback to all of us that have been involved in the process.
So that's a look again at last year's VIP program. Obviously there will be some tweaks to it here and there, but the idea will be the same, that this is a way for people to get a little bit of coaching, a little bit of practice time, and just kind of that VIP experience, right?
You bet, Matt. Great success last year with the VIP program, including our coaching and practice lanes. This year, at the National Bowling Stadium, we'll have showcase lanes. Actually, we'll have 10 showcase lanes, specially installed downstairs on the first level where the restaurant was. So we're looking forward to having that along with the VIP and showcase lanes experience. We'll have some additional side events there too. And don't forget, VIP program will be extended to the Women's Championship bowlers. There's a lot of neat features for our lady bowlers in the VIP program. Some good stuff.
Yeah, perfect. And then a final question. Misha wanted to know how to get signed up for the Women's Championship specifically, but the easiest thing in the world, Open and Women's Championships, Youth Open Championships, it's all there at bowl.com/tournaments. Easiest place in the world to go find it and start saving your dates, right?
You bet.
It's time to go.
It's time to go. Let's go. Let's get on with it.
Brian Lewis, thank you very much for being with us. We're going to turn our attention to coaching a little bit, and I know you guys have a lot of questions for Carolyn Dorin-Ballard. She'll be along in a bit. One of the ones we hear all the time is about corner pins. Most of the time it's how do we avoid leaving corner pins, but when you leave them, you do have to make them. Hall of Famer Kim Terrell-Kearney now with a look at how you can pick those up.
Hi, I'm Kim Terrell-Kearney, assistant coach for Team USA. We're going to talk today about how to improve your game, in particular how to get better at single pin spares. We recommend straighter is better, so using a plastic ball and making sure that you find the pin that you're shooting. You want to position your ball, shoulders, hips, and feet all towards that pin, draw an imaginary line, and keep your swing as straight as possible. One of the most common problems when shooting 10 pins is most players address the lane a little bit too direct, and at the last minute as they approach the foul line they open up their body, and that tends to make them miss it. It's too much to the right and then they overcorrect and miss it to the left. So again, you want to make sure that your feet are open to the pin and that your hips are equally open and your shoulders, so you're all facing the pin, you're addressing the pin the right way. Make sure the ball's positioned between your chin and your shoulder, and then just walk straight, keeping that angle. So remember, make sure you draw an imaginary line from the pin to your body, preset that angle, and all of your spares will get much, much easier.
As often as you and I talk about spare shooting, I know that you're a firm believer that this is the quickest way to add pins to your average. And Kim just gave us a couple little tips right there, but part of it is just practicing it. I think a lot of people, they go out there for their practice, and they're so worried about finding the pocket and so worried about making strikes. But you do need to practice your spares, don't you?
Right, absolutely. When you're using that practice time at league or in a tournament, I know you're not warmed up right at the beginning, but as soon as you get warmed up, make sure you shoot your spares. It's so important because that's really what makes or breaks winning a game and adding those pins to your average. A tip is every time you throw your first shot, whatever you leave, shoot it, because then that really guarantees that you get that spare practice in there. But don't forget, sparing too is a personal preference, so don't be afraid to play around when you're practicing, not in a tournament or in league, but when you're out practicing some extra games, play around with your spare game a little bit and find out what's comfortable for you.
You ready for some viewer questions?
I don't know, let's see.
We've got one from Jacqueline. She says she feels like she's throwing the ball too hard and wants to know what she can do to kind of slow herself down.
Okay. That's a common problem. You know, I get people that say I'm throwing it too hard, I'm throwing it too slow. And I'm sorry, she's throwing it too hard,
yes.
Right? So one of the easiest fixes is don't mess around with your feet. I like fast feet with the modern game because the bowling balls hook so much. So you're throwing it a little hard. move up on the approach just a little bit. Keep your same tempo. This is still going to slow up your feet just a little bit, but not really mess with your timing. It's just going to slow you up a little bit, get you a little closer to that foul line, and it's an easier way to kind of slow down your tempo a little bit without really having to think about, you know, anything with your push or really being methodical. So just move up that little bit, brings you a little bit closer to the foul line, and it'll slow you up.
Okay, Tim is next. Says that as the lanes are breaking down, he's not sure if he should be moving his feet, moving his eyes, moving both. Obviously, this has to do with lane play and making adjustments. What's the simplest way to start if you don't know where to go?
I think if you're bowling on the house condition, the easiest thing is the old 2-in-1 rule of thumb. If you're going to move, if you're a right-handed bowler and you're going to move, the ball's hooking and you're going to move 2 to the left, move your eyes 1 to the left. This keeps your lines a little bit more parallel and doesn't open you up too much, to which it makes bowlers feel a little uncomfortable when they're looking way over here and their feet are way over here. So if you're going to move 2, make sure you move your eyes 1 and just keep those lines a little more parallel and continue to do that until you hit the pocket.
Jen has a sport bowling question. Before we get to it, we want to remind everybody that our sport bowling PBA Experience Leagues are flooring right now, and we have been giving you guys, and we're going to continue today, a series of videos showing you how to play these patterns. There's all these animal patterns that you see on the PBA Tour. Today it's going to be Scorpion, because somebody asked us last time to show them how to do Scorpion. We're 2 weeks late, but here it comes. A quick look at how to play the Scorpion pattern.
The Scorpion is a 41-foot medium to medium high volume pattern. The length and shape of this pattern will let you play it similar to a lot of house shots you may be familiar with. You'll have less room for error, but you'll be in a familiar place on the lane. Strong bowling balls with a little bit of surface are usually the best option to start with on the Scorpion. We'll start today with Andrew, who has a straighter, stroker type game. He will play this pattern around the track area of the lane between second and third arrow. Straighter type players will generally go pretty direct to start on this pattern before they're able to move in and open up the lane more as the pattern breaks down. Using an aggressive ball with a little bit of surface and hitting his target are going to be Andrew's keys to success on the Scorpion. Next, we'll move to Tim, who would be classified as a tweener type style. He's able to get plenty of ball reaction on this pattern due to his softer ball speed and his axis tilt. Tim will be around the third arrow to start on this pattern, throwing an aggressive ball. Accuracy will be the most important thing for Tim on this pattern, as misses right or left will not find their way to the pocket. Now we'll show David, who is our left-handed bowler on the Scorpion pattern. David is a high rev type lefty and will give us a little different look on this Scorpion oil pattern. David will be quite a bit deeper than our first two bowlers due to his rev rate, but again, this will be similar to where David would be on a typical house shot. David also has his best reaction on this pattern with a little weaker bowling ball with less surface. However, due to this combo, shots that are outside or inside of target for David are usually disastrous. Again, accuracy is going to be a big key for David on the Scorpion pattern. Finally, we'll move on to Derek, who is our higher rev player. This pattern can be a favorite of many power players due to their ability to create more area on the lane. Derek will start on this pattern with a strong bowling ball with a little bit of surface to help the ball read the lane on this longer pattern, and will be around third arrow to start. Again, misses left or right of target early on will usually be splits, but as the pattern breaks down, this can become one of the higher scoring patterns for our power player. One last thing we'd like to mention about the Scorpion pattern is that it is one of the most straightforward PBA patterns. As we mentioned earlier, the shape and length of this pattern should let you play the lanes in a way that you're familiar with. You'll just need to make quality shots and hit your target. If you can do so, you should be successful on this Scorpion oil pattern. For more information on how to play this pattern, or for more information on PBA Experience Leagues, please visit us at bowl.com/sportbowling.
And so there are some tips for the Scorpion pattern, but Jen's question, a little bit broader, is if you're used to bowling on a house shot, how do you begin to adjust your game when you're going to a tougher condition?
Well, the two factors you want to know about the sport condition that you're bowling on is the length of the pattern and the volume of oil. The length of the pattern is going to tell you where the area on the lane you should be trying to play first. For example, the shorter the pattern, the further to the right you should be playing for a right-handed bowler. So if your pattern is 34, 35, 36 feet, you should be trying to play that 1, 2, 3 board for that 34, 35 foot pattern. As you get into 36, 37, you should be moving into maybe 7, 8. The longer the pattern, 42 feet, 44 feet. You're going to be in around that 15, 16, 17 zone. As you can see on the Scorpion, even if you throw the ball straight, like Kristen was, her break point at the arrows was that 8-9 area. The guys that hooked it a little more were further left, but when they got their ball down the lane, it still did not get right of that 8-9-10 area. So really, it's the length of the pattern and the volume of oil, which the volume will tell you how much surface to use on your ball.
Yeah, if you can figure out where that break point is down lane, it's going to be pretty much the same for everybody. It's
Absolutely.
just about how you get there.
Yep.
We got time for one more. John has a mental game question. This is right up Carolyn's alley. He wants to know, how do you get mentally prepared for competition? You're coming in from work, you're coming in from school, you're already pretty exhausted, but you gotta focus up and zone in. What are some tips?
I'm really big on the mental imagery. Before you're getting there, you're driving, try to clear your mind of where you're coming from. And like you said, if you're coming from work, kind of start thinking about league, what you're going to do. Are your bowling balls prepared? Hey, I'm going to change the tape in my ball. Kind of get some bowling thoughts through your mind. When you get there, go somewhere. Go get a soda, go to the restroom, close your eyes for 1 minute, and really just focus in on throwing a really good shot. Kind of get you where you need to be. And then, of course, once you start those practice balls, no one can really see what you're doing at the ball return. And I think that's the perfect spot to just close your eyes, take that deep breath through your nose, hold it for 1 second, let it go. It relaxes your body. Don't have any thoughts in your mind. Get up on the approach, make the shot.
I feel more focused already. That's about all the time we have today. Thanks to Carolyn, as always, for being here with us. Thanks to Brian Lewis for all of that great Open and Women's Championships info. Thanks to all of you at home for bringing in the questions. We couldn't really do it without you. And Lucas Wiseman doing all of the button pushing behind the scenes and making us look good. So that's it for this time. We'll see you in about 2 weeks. Until then, take care.